Hi, I'm Virginia from the Medical Writing Uncut podcast at Write Clinic, and here with me today is Kundai. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to chat with you.
Awesome. I'm very excited too. Would you like to introduce yourself and about what you do?
Yes, so my name is Kundai, and I am a scientific research and experimental development technical writer slash innovation funding consultant. So my job is basically a combination of science communications and helping people who are doing really cool things with science and tech get loads of money from the government.
That's awesome. So you work hybrid, right? So how do you end up in a kind of hybrid situation where you work sometimes from home or most of the time from home, and then also you go into the office every now and again?
So it really just depends on the company you work for because the company I used to work for before I joined this one, it was completely remote. So we barely saw like our teammates, we barely saw anything. So I felt like, oh, you know what? I need a role that's more, I get to actually talk to people and be around people. So I joined a different team with a different company that allows me to do that. But in order to get into the role, like we probably have to backtrack back to literally university. So I did a bachelor's in biology and biotechnology. So after that, I was just looking for roles, like lab roles, like hands-on wet lab roles. But I knew kind of in my gut that I wasn't as good at the hands-on stuff because in my tissue culture lab, I think I killed my cells like twice. And I was like, maybe this is not the best thing I could be doing. So I kind of pivoted, and there's a science and tech company that offered me a role where I was a technical writer and a scientific content writer. They just needed someone who understood the science that they could explain it better. So I settled into that role for a little bit, but in the company, they had an internal R&D team. They had like 10 projects running. And in Canada, you can apply for R&D tax credits from the government. And what you need is you need to do like a 1,500 word document of just what you're doing, how you're doing it. It's just like a science project, but like a mini research paper written basically. So I did a bunch of those reports until I realized that it's actually a viable career option because there are companies that do just that for companies. So what they do is they just like sit down with the company, ask about their research and development, and then help them do the whole application because it has a bit of red tape and it's very hard to kind of get into the writing style and what exactly you can and cannot say. So that's how I ended up landing into that role after doing those 10 projects, started applying to roles that were just for R&D, and then I ended up landing in the company that I am in right now.
Perfect. Awesome. So just for the audience, if you don't know or you haven't heard of it before, R&D is research and development, which happens a lot when it comes to the science and technology world and even medical and the health world as well. So what are your top tips for people who want to get into the science writing space and maybe into research and development and, get into technical writing as well?
So my tips would be start as early as possible. So in terms of what you just explained, that R&D can be in the medical field, in pharma, and everything. Like people are making new medical devices, people are making new, even just research studies are also viable for those incentives and tax credits from the government. So anybody who's writing for any institution that is doing any medical research or scientific research can actually get into learning about this. So every country has it in a slightly different way. I know Germany has like a 25% tax credit, like they'll give back 25% to a company that is doing R&D. And I know a bunch of like other countries that do a lot. I think in Canada, it's like 30%. So if you're in a writing role right now, my recommendation would be to simply look up what the tax incentive or whatever R&D funding is going on in your particular country, and then learn the writing style by usually they literally have websites that say, we want this information and this information and this information. And that way you can just start pitching yourself to a bunch of customers and clients. And after you've covered one or two clients, you really just get the hang of it. So if you want to do it on a freelance capacity, that's the best way to do it. But if you want to do it as a getting employed by a company strategy, what you just have to do is get into the scientific writing first. So that is get your learning. There's a bunch of books out there that have a lot of like medical writing tips, scientific writing tips. Get a hold of those, read those. One of my favorites is Houston, We Have a Narrative. And it's just about like communicating science to the layman, but also communicating science in a way that's more like storytelling versus these are facts, these are figures, figure it out. So learn how to do that first. And how you can do that is I have like a list of like LinkedIn followers that LinkedIn creators that post a lot about their journey in medical writing. You can join all sorts of things. There's the Write Clinic too. You can join a lot of things that you can learn in collaboration with other people, because I find that when you learn from people, it's easier to just get the hang of it. And also practice with all the scientific journals that are out there. Make sure you can read them quickly, understand them, and explain them in a way that varies for different particular fields. So when you apply to a role like an R&D technical writer, the way I do, you have to just like show them that you can write. So you don't even have to show them that you understand their project fully or that you understand anything else. Just show them that you're really good at understanding science and writing. So if you have a backing in a scientific degree, bachelor's, master's, even at PhD level, or if you even have like any professional qualification, you just have to understand them that I understand science and I'm good at writing. And then for the applications, obviously, it's just the same process where you give an application and then they either answer you or they don't. But my other secret strategy is also posting about your expertise on LinkedIn, which is it's going to give you enough visibility if you use the keywords to the roles that you want to apply to when you post on LinkedIn.
I love that. That is such a great tip. And I think also people want to know what you're about before they even approach you, because they want to have some kind of confidence that you know what you're talking about as well. So if you are posting regularly, and that could be just once a week, it doesn't have to be every single day. Yeah. So what's next on the horizon for you? Is there anything that you're working on right now that the audience can kind of engage with?
Yeah, so I'm currently working on a LinkedIn series where I talk to various people who were hardcore scientists, but they turned into writers. So it doesn't have to be you were a PhD scientist. You could even be a bachelor's degree holder who decided to take a science communications role. And what I'm doing is I'm just spotlighting those people on my LinkedIn page and explaining to people how they got into what they're doing. If they're freelancers, if they work for companies, I'm just looking for a lot of like scientific careers. So this is not limited to just people in science communications. It's people who have avant-garde science careers, the ones that we don't hear about in school. I just want to like let people know that that's a thing and they can actually find jobs in those careers. And also I'm hoping to start a newsletter with a lot of like professionals giving a few tips on how to get into those careers as well. And finally, if anyone is running any fun research, either in Canada or in Europe, that needs R&D, you can just contact me. I will connect you to the right experts and everything will be great.
Awesome. That's really cool. So I really like that you're also doing interviews and helping to put a spotlight on people. So what kind of got you to start doing that? Because one of the advantages that I find from doing a podcast is not only I get to share the stories of fantastic people, but also it just helps to create a really nice community where you're sharing knowledge, and I learn so much from people like you and from every episode. So what got you started to want to share those stories?
So for me, I just wasn't given options when I was in university. Like I was a biology major, so it's med school. Like there's nothing else that it's med school. Just go to med school and you'll figure it out later. But I just wasn't a med school candidate. I'm a little bit more creative. Like I'm very much like imaginative and creative. So I loved science and I loved the research and the work, but I just was not informed at how many careers that there could be in that work. So after university, I volunteered for a professor with Health Canada, and all I would do, because it was COVID, was read research papers and just like compile, because I was building an adverse outcome pathway for genetics, like it's a genetics toxicology thing. So I was building that. So I was just like reading papers and writing about them. And I said, oh, this is a career option. This can actually be a thing that people are doing. But it's not something that I was informed of. It's something I had to dig and search and find on my own and even stumble upon accidentally because I didn't even know it was a thing. So what inspired me is that I wanted to let people know that there's so many career options. You don't have to just stick to either professional school or strictly research. There's so many other things happening in different startups. There's so many other things happening in research that you can actually be a part of and learn about. Because I have a friend who's a clinical research assistant. I did not know that was a job before. I didn't know that. I genuinely just thought like they hired like people in school or something. I didn't know you hired a separate person to actually conduct the research management. So yeah, that my goal is to just like get as many people as possible knowing about the vast career options so that they don't have to feel stuck.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been super nice to talk to you. And I will leave a link to your LinkedIn in the description box below so people can go and follow you and check out all the fantastic work that you're doing. And yeah, any final words or anything else you'd like to mention?
No, I just want to thank you for this chat. I feel like when I first reached out to you, it was for the series I was talking about interviewing, and I found that your career was really cool, and the way you kind of just established it from the ground up was very fascinating. So I just want to give props to you for that. And I love that you're doing this platform where everybody can share and people can also learn from it while, providing a lot of useful information for everybody. So yeah, just I want to acknowledge you and thank you for that, for taking that lead.
Thank you so much. That's really kind. So, to the audience, thank you so much for watching or listening. And thank you very much again to Kundai. And we will see you at the next episode. Bye.
Good.